Do I have any comments from the public? No public here. Any comments from the directors? Okay. Any adjustments? Okay, thank you. We're on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve as presented, or are there some changes?
No changes. I just had a question for Jeannie. On page 13, the percentage of property values for month 6 went up over 14% versus the other months. Is someone building McMansions?
gosh, yeah. Go down go down North Melbourne and all through the Wilding Estates, all through, oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Huge homes going in there.
Okay.
I can't even believe the DST approved it.
What is the median assessed value?
Well, you're at 14.62%.
Yeah.
It's on page 15
Is it on page 15?
in Adam's report.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the
Oh, yeah, okay.
Woodlands Water page on 13, but yeah.
Okay, at 500, I thought it was 500.
Yeah. What?
Good for your revenue.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
14%. Wow.
huge, I know.
Yeah.
All right, so do I have a motion then to approve
I
the,
so move to approve the consent agenda.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, agenda item number 9, to review the district's draft fiscal 25-26 operating budget and recommended water rate structure.
Hey, we will be referring to 4 documents. The budget,
Yep.
the budget memo, and this map and associated paper. There's copies up here if you didn't grab one.
Oh,
I didn't get a map, but I got all the other.
Which ones you need?
Was there a map in here? Oh,
No,
yeah, okay,
up here.
I need those two.
don't need the budget map and whatever this.
I need the
3 of
laughter.
those.
All right, thank you.
I need the laughter.
I already passed down 3 today. So
Just the maps. Just the maps.
The map, no, that's, okay. Here's
Yeah,
3 of these, okay.
we're good now.
Okay, one more map.
No, you're good. Oh, no, you're good, Pat.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
We are organized, aren't we?
All right.
All right, so we're gonna go back and forth between them, but the budget memo just gives some general information on how the budget goes together, and then there's some numbers at the bottom there. But really, we'll talk about the budget itself. The revenues and the administrative costs generally stay pretty constant. Where the real changes occur are on the back page in the tan area. And before I jump into those whys and whats, we will look at this map here and this other drop and this other document here. Let's start with the map. As we've talked probably for the past 9 months, we've been doing ditch evaluations, going through each ditch, identifying all the assets related to the ditches. So that could be, each of these dots is an asset. So that could be the ditch. It could be ditch piping, which will be storm sewer piping, outfalls, or interceptor outfall pipes, or interceptor pipes, not outfall. Drop structures, siltation areas, tree overgrowth, all the various things associated with the ditches. We then created kind of a ranking or a condition level, with 0 being just a point of interest and a 3 being needs immediate attention or severe. And so as you can see, there's a number. We're going to probably change the colors because green does not indicate good here. It just indicates it, at least on this map, that it was a 1. We'll probably move that to the 0 category and do orange, add an orange for 2. But nonetheless, 1 would be a point of interest. Maybe there's some deterioration starting, but really nothing to see here. Just kind of keep monitoring it. A 2 would be disintegration of pipe is beginning. No sinkhole. Pipe still has a few years of life left, but we need to definitely monitor it more closely. A 3 needs immediate attention. So that's severe erosion or or pipe is disintegrated, or there's a sinkhole, those types of things. Heavier silt, greater overgrowth of trees, things like that would be associated with trees. So on this page, what I tried to do is summarize, and one thing to note is we will be putting together a more robust package that
Mhm.
will give you, for every one of these dots, there's at least 1 to 6 pictures of every one of them. So you kind of blow this up so you can kind of see mud 6 and see the specific dots and specific condition with actual pictures of those dots or those points. But to kind of give you just a summary of the reds of the areas of concern, we have 5 storm sewer outfalls. Again, a storm sewer outfall is a pipe that's coming into the ditch that's feeding the neighborhood or feeding the storm sewers of the neighborhood. So that makes sense. A backslope interceptor is a pipe that starts on the top of the ditch along the top bank of it, and goes into the ditch from the ditch itself. So it doesn't necessarily take the storm water from the streets. It could take some of them could take water from a backyard, maybe coming into that interceptor swell, but generally speaking, it's water that falls on the top of the maintenance berm, which is the part you might drive.
Oh, okay.
That would be interceptor piping. So you have 5 storm sewer outfalls and 2 interceptors. And then we identified some linear footage of tree overgrowth. So, most of the ditches are all trapezoidal in nature, right? And then on the top banks, it's flat or roughly tilted backwards towards the sides. And that's where you would drive. That's where you would access. That's where equipment could go down. But in a lot of cases, the trees that are either right there on the edge or in the backyard are overgrowing, and in some cases overgrowing so much that you can't even drive.
Access is an issue.
You got to get down the ditch, and it's not very safe. And if we ever need to get down there to address an issue, we can't access it very well. So that's when I say tree overgrowth, or vegetative overgrowth. That's what I'm talking about. So those are the 7 points of interest on the pipe side of things, which all went into the budget on the TAN sheet.
Okay.
And then as a part of this, in order to do some of this work, some of the smaller work, I'll call it, we're proposing to the MUDs and trustees last week to hire a crew that will be a designated crew to the ditches year in, year out. We have some equipment proposed to buy, little mini excavator, skid steer, a wood chipper, a truck and trailer, those types of things to facilitate that crew to be able to go in and do some of the minor work. There's definitely, it's not proposed to buy equipment so big that we can get down into deep ditches and really do a lot of heavy digging and heavy pipe replacement. We have contractors that we go to for that, for those types of repairs and things. So that will still occur, but we'll be helping out doing some of the minor things, some of the desilts, some of the minor clearing or pruning, if you will, along the ditches. And so we'll be able to keep our crews busy, kind of doing what we can while we work with a contractor to work on some of the other repair items.
So
Are
this.
you talking about, I'm so sorry. So are you talking about hiring additional staff or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so they would be in the MUD's payroll.
Yes. Lead operator to work so the heavier equipment, and then some field hands to help them do the work.
So the skid steer could have different attachments for different purposes.
Sure.
Like a claw for pulling stuff into the chipper and all that kind of thing. Okay. Or a dump, whatever.
Yeah, and there's a different bucket on the
Yeah.
mini excavator that we use for scooping
Yeah.
larger material.
Got it. Okay, that'd be
Uh,
versatile.
It would. So that's in the trustee budget. Obviously, that trickles to the MUDs, your share of that, but for capital expense. But to go through just a couple of the bigger line items on the TAN sheet, engineering and tech services increasing 5300.03. And that is in relation to updating the rate study that we did a couple years ago, and also the mandated update to the emergency response plan. It's mandated by EPA TCQ. So that's a 5-year cycle, and we're at the 5 years. So we're going to do that this.
So does that include any sharing for the SFDUE update being under the technical?
No,
So
that's
is
just
that something else?
doing that.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
okay,
doing that
okay,
under our own.
okay.
Water service maintenance went down. That's mainly because we got a lot of those meters done last year. If you recall,
Oh, yeah.
we bought some of the 3 and 4 inch meters. Sewer repair has minor work we're expecting. Not much there. The big item is 5300.12 and 5300.14. And that's where the large ditch repair and the storm sewer repairs are sitting that you saw on the sheet. That sheet.
Mhm.
So those 5 storm outlets and outfalls and the backslope, 2 backslope interceptors on here
Right.
are in those 2 line items. And so, as you can see, there's a couple other things that went up or down in a minor way. That leaves you with a budget budget reserve of about 3.3 million at about 11.2 months of reserve. So, yeah,
Well, that's great.
it's
That's huge.
Yeah,
looking very good. We've really made some headway the last couple of years, so that's positive. Obviously, we have a lot of expense coming with different projects. So, and then also we'll talk a little bit about at the next agenda item on tax rate setting. Of course, that has some impact on some of this too. But
And this incorporates our share of the new employees,
yes, all that and the ditch work, all
all
that.
that.
It's all in there.
And still got 11.5 months. That's awesome.
Yes, agreed. It's a good story. So there's no approval today. This is the draft, and we'll need to approve this next month, and
right.
then we can get to work.
Done. One of the best budgets I've seen in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay. Item number 10. Receive the financial advisor's recommendations concerning the district's proposed 2025 tax rate and determine the intended tax rate and authorize the required notice that the board will consider adoption of a tax rate and means of providing such service. Go. I got that all out. I got that all out.
You should have a letter, a cover letter followed by a table. And just to remind you, tax rate setting process is a 2-step process. So what you're authorizing today is publication of the total tax rate. Next month, you'll hold your public hearing and then adopt and levy that tax rate. Keeping in mind, you'll always want to publish the highest rate you'll consider because you can come down from it next month. You just can't go up without republishing. So all that being said, if you look on that cover letter, second paragraph, your 2025 certified value as of January 1 came in at 1.45 billion. That's a 14.6% increase over last year's 1.27 billion. If you flip to the next page, the top table with respect to your maintenance and operating tax rate. Last year, you levied 6.9814 cents. It generated about 870,000. This year's proposed rate, 0.07108, which would generate 958,000. If you wanted parity, if you want to generate the same number of dollars you did last year, you need 0.0609. Currently, you need roughly 7 cents to balance your budget. Keep in mind, we assume 98% collections. The budget references 100%, so that's the minor discrepancy. And then the value of a penny in your district is just under $143,000. And so what that means in the middle box for the average homestead last year, $480,488, meaning your average tax bill last year was $335. This year it went up to $517,354, meaning at the proposed rate, the average tax bill would be $347 or a $12 increase. Percentage change 3.5%. That's
mandated. limit.
correct. Yeah, and so in the bottom box, we backed into that number because Senate Bill 2, if as a developed district, the way it reads is if you're above 3.5%, you're forced into a mandatory rollback election scenario. And if that passes, or if it's successful, you'd be rolled back to the rollback rate, which is the 0.067108. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I think this is pretty clear.
I think so too.
I mean, extremely clear.
Very concise. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So I need a motion, did I not?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I'll make a motion to authorize required notice that the board will consider adoption of a tax rate
Okay.
and the means of providing such notice.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 11, receive the regular monthly SJR Woodlands Division report.
All right, well, the report's in your packet, beginning on page 16. Nothing out of the ordinary, no violations, producing water. Everything going as planned. Have nothing to add unless you have any questions.
I don't want to get into details, but if you could go to page 27, could you take a look at the averaging process for the groundwater production? The 5-year average. Anyway, we can have a conversation offline about that as to how that is done.
How we do the 5-year average?
Yeah.
It does not include 2025.
Well, you know.
Oh, that makes sense. 2025.
Well, yeah, it's a partial year, but if you add up the 2020 to 2024 and divide by 5, you don't quite get that, what that column represents. Anyway, as I said, we can take it offline, have a discussion.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and double check the equation
Okay.
while we're sitting here, if we can, and talk about it.
Questions? That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Item 12, discuss and/or act on a water line renewal plan and analysis completed by HDR engineers.
Okay, this is on all the agendas, just to give opportunity to talk if need be. We did want to update you on the trustees, did decide to unanimously to move forward with Town Center water line re-engineer, redesign and easement acquisition. So that is moving forward. And then I'm working with SJA and several directors that still have some comments and questions on the analysis. And so I'm optimistic that hopefully in the next probably month, we can work through those so that we can give SJA direction on what to do with the other 6 projects that were recommended by the experts, HDR. So more to come.
I don't want to speak for our board, but it's self-evident that we can't be doing these sequentially. We have to get them on the project list, approve that, and I would hope that at some point I'll be directed to make such a comment in the trustee meeting.
Yeah, and Aaron did send some comments to me, and a couple of the comments were just his thoughts on this topic. And so he just asked that I continue to work with those remaining directors that have some questions and kind of run through me on that, which we're doing that. And I think that was it.
Okay.
For this topic,
Okay.
online projects.
Okay,
All right.
anything else? Okay, item 13, discuss and/or act on Bear Branch Dam modification project, spillway reconstruction and the dam safety assessment, pages 33 and through 40.
Okay, I'll start it off and then I'll pass it to Brett Rayleigh with SJA. As you know, upstream of y'all towards Kirkendall and further west, there is a reservoir, there is a drainage area of Bear and Panther branches that feed from the dam, and then there's a dam and reservoir for drainage purposes, and that's in place. It was built in 1983. before some of those, there's 5 stakeholder MUDs, I'll call them, that in 1999 were identified to agree to take on the ongoing operation maintenance of the reservoir and dam and maintenance of the drainage areas, the branches. But the dam was built in 83, prior to some of those districts even existing, or at least having much, land up there developed. So over the last couple of years, SJRA has had a couple engineering firms go in and look at the condition of the dam. I think it's required every few years, 5 years, that they have to do it, but they did it. And there was definitely some things that came up as needing to be addressed with the dam. And most recently, Schnabel Engineering was hired on to do the full look at the spillway and dam. And they gave a presentation to the 5 stakeholder MUDs on July 21st. In that meeting, there was some questions from some of the directors, both stakeholder and non-stakeholder. There was actually some non-stakeholder directors that attended the meeting and said, why is it just certain MUDs that are involved in this? Doesn't this facility affect all of us? And in fact, the answer was, well, good question. Let's look at it and bring it up at all the MUDs. So it's on all the agendas to look at. The idea, and that's kind of the request was, is there any reason and or interest from some of the other MUDs to participate in some of the funding for the project? And so SJRA put together a little summary on page 38. It kind of talks about just a cost sharing model that they might use in adding in participants, but that was it, right? Okay.
So good afternoon. Brett Rayleigh, SJRA's Raw Water Enterprise Manager. I work for it. As part of my duties for 18 years, I've been doing O&M of the Conroe Dam, but I've also had responsibilities at Bear Branch Dam. So that's kind of why I'm addressing. But hopefully you've seen the materials that Ed provided on the Google Drive. So, and from what Eric just described, you've got a good idea of what's going on. One thing I like to do with the MUDs that aren't part of the 5 that have been funding this for so long is just clarify something. When we're talking about this replacement, we're not talking about replacing the dam, which would be the much larger extent that includes the earthen embankment that goes beyond the frames of the picture there. We're talking about the spillway, which is the concrete portion. And then even amongst that, you'll notice in your paperwork that it's broken out it delineates between the surface spillway, which is that part in the middle that's lighter colored, kind of where the discharge channel aligned with the discharge channel, and the remainder of the spillway, which is called the auxiliary spillway. So there's a price in there you'll see for one phase is to do just the service and one is to do just the auxiliary. And what the proposal that's on the table and what Schnabel is strongly recommending is doing both at the same time, because they feel there are serious dam safety issues with the entire spillway. So one of the reasons that I think it was brought up is that in the breach analysis for this dam, this is a high hazard dam, which in your materials, it'll define what that means, but there's potential for loss of life. There's potential for significant economic impact in the event that the dam should fail. Also, as it's stated in the materials, a failure of the Bear Branch Dam would overtop the Lake Woodlands Dam. And overtopping the Lake Woodlands Dam would be a cascading failure of that dam as well. And so that fact, plus the fact that the inundation of the floodwaters that would come as a result of the breach would overtop major thoroughfares, would impact schools and other institutions that would affect emergency services ability to get to people as they're needed. It was discussed that, hey, this really is more far-reaching impacts than just 5 MUDs that have traditionally paid for O&M of the Bear Branch system. So just to give you a little bit more background, this picture is a depiction of a portion of the inundation. So the yellow extent of the floodwaters in the event the dam should fail. It does extend further south, but this snippet was taken to just give a nice graphic for the purposes of the PowerPoint. But the point of the inundation zone is to say that it's well beyond the boundaries of those districts to pay for the O&M. So the fact that it goes beyond the boundary, it would have far-reaching effects, farther than just those five months. So the thing that's for you to consider today is just whether or not, you would consider joining any of the other MUDs beyond the five in helping to fund rehabilitation of the spillway at Bear Branch Dam.
Can I ask a couple of questions? But if MUD 6 decided to participate, would that open us up to any kind of prior exposure or prior cost or prior issues?
I'd like Brian to answer that, but I'll say legally, but the answer is no.
Okay,
That's been asked.
okay, sure. And then what about future maintenance costs?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's been a question as well. If I participated in this capital piece, does that mean I'm also agreeing to, and the answer is no. The answer is it's whatever you want it to be. So for instance, none or capital or both, I think is probably the option at play. I think a lot of the districts are looking at this that are non-stakeholders as I may not put water in it specifically. That's kind of the stakeholders are handling that maintenance portion for that. But because it does and or would affect me, it makes sense to, possibly participate in the capital portion, but not commit to long-term maintenance. And so kind of differentiate between this capital project and long-term maintenance. So it can kind of go either way, but I think that's part of the question or part of the look here.
And so if we decided to participate in the capital, I mean, there would be an ironclad agreement that, that we would not, MUD 6 would not be responsible for any
For
maintenance
sure,
costs,
that would
future
all be
maintenance
papered
costs.
up however you want it to say. It would be papered up the way that you want it. And, the summary that's on page 38, that contemplates, if all 10 were to say yes, and it were split on just connections, then that's what the number would be. But if it's, one MUD might say, well, my district's not even anywhere near not only putting water in it, but also I'm not even downstream. So what do I have in this, and so, but I may be interested, but maybe not to my full connection count because I'm not really, so there may be, and for the non-stakeholder districts, it could be, look, I really like this idea, but I can't afford to throw in $300,000 or whatever, but I'll give you 100 or I'll give you, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. You're not obligated to follow any particular path as it relates to how the numbers are calculated. We have to figure out how to at least come to some way to prorate, it. And so oftentimes when you're dealing with drainage, you deal with the amount of water that an entity puts into it. And so that's kind of why the original stakeholders exist today. Although certainly because it was built in 83 when 6 and 36 and the lower portion was built. So it definitely, and the stakeholders didn't even exist back then. So to a certain degree. So you could argue that it definitely was built for, some of the districts south in the woodlands. So.
And how would this impact our budget?
Good question. It's not in there. So, as I reported, I think you had
1.5 months.
11.5 months. Well, that's the months, but in terms of dollars, you had an excess cash at the end of next year, assuming you did all the stuff, at about 3.3 million. So you still have a good bit of a reserve, 3.3 million. Obviously, we have a lot of infrastructure to mess with over the next decade.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you're not going to be able to cash fund all that. I mean, some of those numbers are bigger. So
We have no idea on the wastewater treatment facility.
correct. That's one of the
Not a
problems
clue.
here. So, I mean,
Or the water line, because they're class 5 estimates from
Sure.
HDR.
For sure. So, yeah, and all the MUDs are, obviously dealing with all those things as well. So and that's been brought up as well throughout the meetings, but that, there's a lot of uncertainty with the bigger projects. I think, some MUDs are looking at it and saying, well, maybe I can see if I can create some reserves through tax setting, that maybe I can create some reserves to chew off some of the bigger projects, maybe the first couple or their shares of that. Some districts won't be able to do that. It's going to kind of vary. Like it's,
So, I mean, so these numbers could actually change if not all the MUDs decide to participate, or some of the MUDs said, hey, I'm only going to give you 50 grand, or I'm going to give you 100 grand. So then that would readjust the portion that the other MUDs that had agreed to it to be responsible for. And so we don't know what that number is either.
For sure. And the funding in place right now, the project's 14 million. There was 3.6 from Congressman Crenshaw previously. There was some MUD money that was put in. And then we applied for another 5 million from Crenshaw that, if approved in the federal budget, that those would come in as well. So the money that we're really contemplating here is that 4.8, which is the delta of money we think we have versus money it's going to take to do both parts of the spillway.
That's where I was about to go. We kind of glanced over that.
No worries.
So what is the timing on this? I think I missed that.
Well,
So,
so what we wanted to do this month was just to gauge interest from the non-stakeholder MUDs to see what the eventual, because this was presented to the stakeholder MUDs as, we got to find $4.8 million to bridge that, shortage. What are we going to do? And we said, and then that question was asked. So gone through, you're the fourth non-stakeholder MUD that's seen this week. And all three previous are at least saying, I'm interested enough to see what the numbers might be, and given us a motion to have WWA give a recommendation to each of the MUDs, to identify what your share might be.
do we need a full board to make that?
I
I'm
think we
concerned.
do.
I mean, we haven't heard from Aaron or Ron because they haven't seen this. And so I have concern. I agree with you. I have some concerns that we would commit our board to something without having everyone here.
And it wouldn't be a commitment. It would be, if you're even interested, a motion to just see what the numbers look like.
Okay, so,
Once the meetings happen this time, not obligating you to do anything, just obligating, really authorizing us to sharpen our pencils on these numbers and then see, because the numbers might say that the pro ratas on pure connection pro rata is 300,000, but you might say, well, I'm interested, but I'm only willing to do X, Y, or
But you're
Z.
still working up the SFDUEs, right? So that then possibly change. Isn't this whole thing based on the current?
On the one that considers all 10 MUDs, yes, sir.
Well, there's still gonna be more questions I think that are coming.
The pro rata share for the 5.
No, it says SFDUEs.
Yeah, that's single family dwelling unit.
Yeah. So connections,
That's the next one.
connections. Okay.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem giving the authority to come back and give us numbers and see what's involved. I mean, I'm
Okay with that.
I really am. So, I mean,
Aaron did
and
send
it
me a
doesn't
note.
commit us anything, so I get that.
Sent me a note on that as well, just mainly to say, I'm not sure I'm ready to commit funds, but I'm willing to look at least the numbers.
So that
Well, I guess that
come,
doesn't commit us to anything.
right.
All right. And I still have more questions about information. I have a long list, but I'll only concentrate on a few things. First up, you mentioned up there, but the dam breach modeling, that wasn't included in the packet, at least I saw.
Part of the reason for that, I think this may be the PowerPoint slide, may be the only thing that was included.
But it doesn't include area south of,
Part of the reasoning for that is PCQ considers our emergency action plan,
Mhm.
of which this is one tab in a big, thick emergency action plan,
Right.
confidential. So typically, we're careful with what we do and don't share publicly. I think we could talk to the attorneys and find out what we can get, but that's the reason why we limited it in this particular set.
Well, you just asked another question. We can't see the emergency action plan.
Now, let
Nor,
me caveat that. Let me
Okay.
caveat that. There was an original ruling from the Attorney General, and I'm referring to Lake Conroe Dam. I'm not
Right.
referring to this dam. That said, it's confidential, we don't have to make it, not subject to open records request. There was a contestant of that, and that contestant won to some degree and got it in a very redacted form. And Brian's probably more familiar with it than I am, but so there is a likelihood that you could get a redacted form of it because it's already happened. There's precedent for it, so.
but we have another owner involved in Lake Woodlands Dam.
In what?
Another owner that owns and operates the Lake Woodlands Dam.
Correct.
And who is that?
The owner, apparently, I heard just this week, is the Woodlands Development Corp. Is that right?
Or you mean here?
Howard Hughes?
Yeah, well, what was the Woodlands
Right.
Development.
Well, I guess there's still some shell company that, yeah, okay. So you mentioned a breach of Bear Branch would overtop the Lake Woodlands Dam, resulting in a cascade type failure.
Those are words used by the engineer, but if you look at the bottom right above it on this slide, that's from our consulting engineers. So it would overtop it in excess of 3.5 feet.
But you can provide the report on the dam breach modeling or not.
It's part of the, no, it's part
Oh,
of what, yes, sir.
Okay,
It's one tab within the
Okay.
emergency action.
gotcha. I hear you. All right. So I sort of put a timeline together to help me organize my thoughts. Let's see, how many years we got? 43 years since 1983. Next year, 42 years. Bear Branch Dam was built for the then Woodlands Development Company, not for SJRA. So at some point between 1983 and 1999, SJRA took ownership of
In 1999.
in 1999.
Well, let me back up. We entered into a contract with 4 MUDs in 1999 to do the O&M. And the MUDs agreed to pay for it based on a pro rata share that was in the contract.
Mhm.
In 2002, a 5th MUD was added. And so since that time, the MUDs have subsidized the cost of O&M. for
Right.
Branch resolution.
Right. But SJRA is listed as owner with the
The
TCQ.
way, and Brian can probably explain it better than I, but part of the agreement was that the MUDs would pay for O&M. And over time, they would pay for the project, which would then be deeded over and has been deeded over to SJRA. So we
Okay.
own the entire system in fee. The detention,
Okay.
the dam, all of the flowage waste down to just downstream of Gosling. So from 1488 on Panther Branch to downstream of Gosling, from Alden Bridge Road along Alden Branch to its confluence with Panther Branch, and then from the Bear Branch Dam down Bear Branch confluence with Panther, to just downstream of Gosling. So that whole system there is laid out in meets and bounds
Right.
and owned by SJRA.
So it's just getting back to what Deborah was talking about earlier. By participating, we're not exposing residents of MUD 6 to any kind of liability.
I'm gonna let
Other than the amount of money that could possibly be agreed.
We're not gonna talk about liability open session because we're gonna talk about that
Oh.
closed session.
Oh, we can't talk about,
We're
oh,
not talking about liability in open session. I mean, what we're talking about right now
yeah,
is cost contribution. I mean, the
Yeah.
details would, of course, have to be worked out and you know,
Right.
we need to have more discussion about liability. We need a closed session.
I
closed
do
session.
know that in the materials that Ed provided to the Google Drive, he alluded to supplemental agreements that would be made with any MUD that wanted to participate beyond the 5 that we already have agreements with. And all those details, I'm supposed to be worked out.
I guess there's so many kind of unknowns. Is it going to be a challenge? This is why I think we need all 5 directors in the room.
I understand.
But still, by all means, do we have to take a vote right now on?
Well, our agenda item says discuss and or act on Bear Branch Dam modification project.
So.
Yeah,
what is that?
the last meeting, the motion from the board was to authorize staff to prepare a recommendation for a potential contribution by the district. And then you can discuss that, you can vote it up and or down, you can modify it, but that's all you're doing at this point is directing staff to prepare a recommendation.
I think we've all figured
Yeah.
that.
We're good with that. So, you may-
Yeah,
Pat's making
what
that,
he said.
Pat made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you.
Any further questions? We good? Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Okay. Item number 14, consider and act on pay application number 1 for the retail wastewater collection system rehabilitation year 2.
Yes, so this is, you are one of 9 participants in the sanitary sewer rehabilitation phase 2 or year 2 project. That's ongoing in construction right now. That's where contractor Texas Pride's going throughout all of the sewer lines and digging up the bad ones, replacing them, relining them, fixing manholes, that type of thing. So there were only 2 districts that actually physically had work this month, and you happen to be one of them. And you had the most work of the planned, and that's just coincidental. They've only been working for about the last 30, 45 days, and this was their first pay application. So this will be on all of our agendas going forward. And you may or may not have a share of that work that particular month. But this
Right.
month, first one out the gate, you actually do. So they started in Mud 6 and have done quite a bit.
Okay,
So we would need a motion to approve.
but before we get there,
You go for it.
I'll definitely go for it. So, the budgeted, mobilization was $14,000 and 3 items have been done. So is that normal practice to, upfront? You don't do a mob, demob type operation? A demob is
That's
waiting
not usually,
the way it's done?
no.
Okay.
This work.
Okay. All right. I'm good with what was done in Mud 6. However, there is, on this document, a project that was done in Mud 60 for $8,000. And that, through the details, let's see, what page is it?
From 46.
It's, yeah, well, yeah, I know, but
All the
if we go
detail.
back to the detail, it's on page 44, which is for Mud 60. We can't approve Mud 60s.
They already did theirs.
They did, but what are we approving? I want to make
Your share.
Our share,
our share.
which
The
is,
work that was done specifically in Mud 6.
Okay, so-
a total of
this would be 67,360. Okay,
That would
thank
be-
you for the clarification.
That would be your expenditure. And
Okay,
going forward, what we're gonna do is try to put kind of a breakout summary of
Yeah.
of pro rata of the shares each month. Just to make it clear.
yeah, I don't know. I just want to make sure I had clarification on that. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
is that?
Yeah, the contractor doesn't know where the money's coming from, so he does the work.
As long as he gets the money.
And luckily, the engineer has split it all out per
Yeah,
bud.
yeah.
We-
This is a great document.
Yeah, it worked.
It helps me track.
It
all of
was
this.
that way, and
Yeah.
then he's also following that in his payout.
Yeah. That made it easy to follow.
Is that your motion?
I move that we approve the pay application number 1 for year 2 as presented for the 75, our share, 75,
No, it's not.
$68,360.
67.
67,360, excuse me.
Already a second motion.
All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Our attorney's report?
Not much today. The legislature is back in session, so we'll see how that goes. There's a laundry list of items, but frankly, I don't think they're going to get through much besides redistricting and maybe some stuff related to the Kerrville flooding in this 30-day session. So we'll probably see more.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Item 16, consider adoption of resolution concerning developed district status for 2025 year, pages 48 through 54.
We covered this as part of the budget and the tax recommendation. MUD 6 continues to be a developed district, so you're subject to the 3.5% rollback rate, and that is what your recommendation and budget were built on. We do need to adopt the resolution formally confirming that you're a developed district for the 2025 tax year.
I move we adopt a resolution concerning our status as a developed district for the 2025 tax year.
Have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. Item 17, receive and or act on the general manager's report.
Okay, we've covered most of the heavy lifting today. Just a couple updates. Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District has a couple meetings at their location. In September 17th is the GMA 14 meeting, and then the 18th is the MUD information meeting. Just a reminder on that one. The update on the SFDE study, we are working on it and hope to have it out for review in the next month or so. So we're still working on it. We were trying to get through the budget stuff. Want to let you know that I am going to, the township has an agenda item on their agenda to talk about mobility during flooding events. And so they've asked us to speak on what our situation is. I think this came out of the Kerrville flooding issue. And so I plan to talk about but again, something you're not a stakeholder of, but the Bear Panther Research Forest Drainage Project that we've been looking at the last few years. So I'll be talking a little bit about that, which essentially there's mobility issues in those bigger storms along Research Forest. So, and that's what that project's contemplating.
I have to tell you, I really liked your report in the packet.
We've made that's Kim putting together a lot of work to put a lot of information in, and I know
Very helpful.
it's gotten big, but we really felt like, maybe we weren't sharing all of the very many things that we're doing across all the MUDs. And this also kind of gives you some perspective on everything that's going on, even outside of your MUD. So there's a lot going on every day. So I appreciate it. And then if there's anything we're missing or you want to see more detail on from time to time, please let us know and we'll adjust it. Kind of really didn't know where we were going to go with it when we knew we wanted more. It's evolved. I think it got bigger, and then we kind of like, okay, where's the sweet spot of how much to put in there without making it like a 2-week long prep report. But anyway, I appreciate that. And with that, I think John with the
Hello. I'll direct you to page 66 for your communications report. It's almost September, so we're exiting third quarter of our strategic plan with focus on water conservation, be shifting the value in September. Infrastructure renewal communications campaign, continue to make good headway on that. We will be adding a GIS-based interactive map to the website soon. Folks will get a better sense of what projects are occurring and another way to find information on individual projects. We've got a renewal video that's in production. The VEC saw a preview of that. It was impressive. There's still some elements we want to add to that, some interviews that are going to be woven into it. I think we should have that wrapped up by next month. Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Community working group has their 6th meeting scheduled for September. We're targeting September 10th. That's not set in stone yet. They're going to hear from HDR. We need to make sure that that date works for HDR. I'm been talking about the water right assessment. If it doesn't happen on the 10th, it'll be shortly after. If you would like to see the actual presentation by Schnabel on the Bear Branch dam issue, sorry?
The video?
Yeah, the recording. Yeah, we have that have it loaded on the YouTube page now. Woodlands Water YouTube page. If you want to watch it on our phone, you can QR it right there. And I just wanted to point out that we're starting to fill up the outreach calendar as fall looms. I'll be out parking lot at Rogan's Mill this weekend. Yeah.
Market, yeah.
farmer's market, so I'll see some of you there for sure. And any questions? Yeah, thank you.
Item 18, receive the Woodlands Water Trustees Report.
The trustees report, pages 70 through 72. Are any questions or anything that can come? One of the key outcomes was moving forward with the town center waterline project, which is key and already mentioned by Eric. The only thing I want to bring to your attention, and Shelley took care of it, there was a kind of an issue getting the report of the PEC into the trustees report, and you should have all received what should have been in the current trustees report by email.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. No questions?
Nope.
That's it.
Good, thank you. Do we need to recess to?
I
close
think you're
session?
premature without the other.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
So I'm just
trustee.
making sure that,
We're current, that's what it's there for.
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we understand things
that's
from
right.
the legal perspective.
So we'll put that on. the
Liability 101, is that going to be the name of it?
agenda.
Okay,
Put that on our agenda for next month's meeting.
no?
Don't put it on the agenda.
No, I know that. I mean, I physically put it on the agenda. I know that. I'm just meant,
Yep.
sorry.
We got it.
Matters or placement for the future agenda?
Yeah, just, I'm trying to understand the agreement, at least there's little bits and pieces, snippets of the agreement between the city of Conroe and SJRA, and it's supposed to be a really good deal. I'd like SJRA, if they could, to actually show why it's a good deal for the ratepayers of Mud 6. Seems like Conroe got a really good deal. Let's see. Reduce the term of their contract from 80 to 40 years, forgive penalties and fees, clarify in the contract an obligation to participate in future GRP phases, et cetera, or expansion of the plant. It goes on and on. I'd really like to see how that's going to improve things for ratepayers of Mud 6. Oh, and I think they actually might even pay their groundwater pumping fee going forward. So that's so interesting.
Neil, what are you reading from?
The joint release from City of Conroe and SJRA.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's all I got to work from.
Okay. My understanding, and I haven't seen it, there's an article on the front page of the Courier this morning on about the settlement. But the basics are there is settlement. Conroe is going to pay what they owe in the back fees on water, minus or excluding any penalties and interest that might have accrued on the 7 years of paying a 2016 rate. The increase in water will reduce the surface water and groundwater fee by roughly 4 cents to everybody.
4 cents.
Definitely.
Okay.
And then there's still discussion occurring about what to do with the money that the arrears that Conroe is paying, as to whether to use that for maintenance dollars on the plant or to defeat debt. So there's still conversation about that. And we're not prepared to discuss anything on that at this time.
So has all the various documents, agreement documents, have they been executed?
Everything's been signed.
Everything's been signed?
Sure.
Okay. So it just says in the process. So
It was at the time.
at the time, yeah,
Yes.
this is, when is that? August 15th.
So there'll probably be a little bit of discussion at the GRP review committee on Monday. So if you wanted to come up to the meeting or tune into the meeting, the attorney will be going over the executive summary of the settlement with the review committee members.
Okay, well, I guess we don't need to have that on next month's agenda. We just had a partial explanation. And we can look at what the GRP committee is going to be talking about. So problem solved.
Thank
Okay,
you.
anything else?
Thanks, Ed. No, we're good.
Meeting